Alright, Liners, so the other day we did upload our top 10 best characters in Bleach Brave Souls, and just like last year, this video is to serve as an explanation and reason on why I ranked the characters where I did. And the main reason why we do it in two separate videos is mainly because, in my opinion, top 10s, while they are supposed to be informative, and I did try and explain my reasoning of why I ranked the characters well, you know, we can't go back and forth. I can't explain why I put X character above X character, and this video allows us to do that, and that means the top 10 video, the one that is going to get the most views, can be a tad bit more entertaining because it isn't going to be longer than it's supposed to be. Now, in my opinion, the top 10 videos that I try and make, normally, I want them to be around 10 to 12 minutes, 15 at maximum. Having said that, though, the top 10 video that we did post was pushing almost 20 minutes. Same with last year too, but we do have more top 10s coming our way within the next week or two, so make sure that you are subscribed for that. And those videos shouldn't be on the longer side. They should be around 10 minutes at maximum, so they can be a tad bit more entertaining and a tad bit more to the point. I don't like long top 10 videos, so that's why we kind of separate in two videos, because if I did explain why I ranked X character above X character and went back and forth, you know, that video would end up being like 40, 50 minutes, and we don't want that. We don't want that. So, with that said, on your screen right now, on your screen right now is the top 10 list. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend you like to go watch that video before this, but regardless, if you want to know why I ranked the characters where I did, the first thing you need to understand is that we're talking about the best characters in the game, so top 10 best characters, and that means we have to account every single game mode. So normal PvE quests such as Inheritance Trials, Inheritance Zone, Epic Raids, Guild Quests, Arena, Brave Battles, we account everything, and that's why I ranked the characters where I did. Because I'm not gonna lie, and I'll mention it in a minute, because I did see a lot of people say, you know, Bruno above Kenpachi, that's outrageous, right? But in the overarching game, Bruno can do things that Kenpachi just simply can't do. But maybe I'm valuing stuff that you don't value, and maybe your top 10 list will look a lot different. For those that only care about PvE content, the list will actually look a lot different. So in that case, if we actually only talk about PvE content, no guild quest, no arena, no brave battles, the list would look something like this. In fact, I don't think even Ichigo or Bruno would make the top 10 if we're only talking PvE content. But in my opinion, when factoring other game modes, this is why I ranked the character where I did. So for starters, looking at number 10, Kenpachi, very simple character, has Frenzy +2 with a 40% Berserker when at full stamina, has poise and also status on reversal, which in certain quests can keep him at full stamina. It's a nice quality life, I definitely do like it, and he has great strong attacks too. Because of that, Kenpachi is a very useful character in Senkaemon quests, great in Epic Raids when he's a bonus, Inheritance Trials he breezes through, and Inheritance Zone he absolutely destroys. He also, because of his strong attacks and damage output, makes for a good side guild quest character in the merely Soripa guild quest. In fact, I was actually getting a sub 1 second run, and people that were getting the high score, the highest score possible in guild quests, were using Kenpachi as a side. Then he works great on his special move level 1 out of 5. So Kenpachi, very good in a lot of different content. Arena though, not so much. And the same can be said for these two characters too. They're very, you know, similar in a sense. Not similar design wise, you know, in terms of like how they play, but they're just great in PvE content, do a lot of damage, have great survivability and great utility. And that's why they're there, right? They're good in guild quests, good in normal PvE content, and that's basically about it. Now, moving on to Ichigo and also Bruno, because there's technically an asterisk above these two characters. Now, again, as I mentioned at the start of the video, when it comes to PvE content, these two characters are definitely the worst of the entire bunch to a certain extent. Having said that though, of course they still clear content just fine, and they don't struggle to clear content whatsoever, right? Just damage numbers though, and even to a certain extent survivability, they are lacking compared to some of these characters, because you know every character here basically has just insane damage output, and then you have Ichigo with 60% Berserker, and then Bruno with a 40% Berserker. They have great strong attacks though, and I know a lot of people saw that top 10 list and said, no, Bruno's not like this high, Ichigo shouldn't be this high because they don't have like the insane damage numbers that the other characters have. And that's true. But the reason why I ranked Ichigo and Bruno, because they're technically almost the exact same character, the reason why I ranked them that high is because they're great in essentially everything. They're not the best character. Well, even then, in certain parts, they are actually the best characters to use there. But essentially, in PvE content, they still are good enough to clear content just fine. Both of them having 2 killers makes them a lot more usable, since they're more likely to get kill advantage. In Inheritance Trials, even though some of these characters can, you know, do a lot of damage, preferably, at least for me, I always want to have killer unless I'm using a max transcended character. So in this case, with Ichigo and Bruno, they have 2 2 killers. There's a better chance of them to be more usable than these 3 characters, when personally I only really want to use them when they have killer, and they only have 1 killer. So that's the advantage that Bruno and Arp Ichigo have against these 3 characters, which technically makes them more usable. And of course in Guild Quest, them having 2 killers with Bombardment and Weakening allows them to get really high scores in Guild Quest, especially if you know you max transcend these characters. They can get sub 1 second ranked, and that's something that the other characters below them just can't do. You can use Arp Ichigo in 4 types of Guild Quests, where technically for some of these characters you can only use in 1 or 2. And the same can be said for Bruno. These 2 characters, and to a certain extent even Kenpachi, can be used in Brave Battles. Now of course in Brave Battles you want to bring Brave Battle characters like Yuha, Kenpachi, Kurishiki, and stuff like that. However, we are starting to see a shift in the meta where nowadays there are plenty of teams in the higher leagues where they don't have invincible characters, and you can use these SP characters to basically one-shot them if you work on them. I am a prime example of that. I've been using someone like 6th Anniversary Aizen in Brave Battles because he's an amazing character in there, and to a certain extent you can use these 2 characters to counter the current meta, since Bruno has a 50% chance to dodge Soripers, and I've actually lost a few games against Bruno. Arp Ichigo makes for a decent counter. I don't really want to call him a counter, but he makes for a decent character to use to go against someone like Yuha, for example. At the same time, Arena. These 2 characters are one of the best Arena characters in the entire game. I would say Bruno is still the best Arena character, and that's why I put him up in the list. So again, like I mentioned at the start, if you only care about PV content, sure, Bruno, Arp Ichigo are probably worse than these 3 characters, right? They are going to be higher. But when you try and take into account every single game mode, Bruno and Arp Ichigo are technically more usable. These 3 characters are great, but overall I see myself using Bruno and Arp Ichigo more because of how useful they are and usable they are to a certain extent. And then moving on, number 5, we have Aizen, the 1000 Year Blood War Agony version. Now, I don't think anyone really had a problem with his placement, so there's not really much to say here. I think he's just a great NAD character. I will say, though, it was a tad bit tough trying to rank him in this list, with the nature of Bleach Brave Souls and how different characters play in terms of SP characters and attack-based characters. I did try and find a balance here, and that's why I put him at number 5. Again, depending on what you value here, if you don't see the value in NAD characters being able to auto some of the harder content, Aizen having a great damage output with the boost SA2 and shield being great in arena and stuff like that, if you don't value that, then sure, you know, Aizen might not even make it to the top 10 of you. It really just depends on how you look at him. Moving on to number 4 and 3, because this is still like kind of a hot debate. Some people, and that's fair, again, I'm not going to disagree with it fully, some people would still say Aizen is the best character since he has like more consistent damage, he's better at altering and stuff like that, he's also better in Brave Battles, and that's fair. Again, it depends on what you value here. Now, the reason why I put Aizen below 7th Anniversary Ichigo is again mainly because of Guild Quest and also Arena. Now, in Arena, 7th Anniversary Ichigo can be very, very toxic with his 12% chance to inflict weakening and paralysis every 5 seconds. There have been many games where if you're the host, now keep in mind when it comes to Arena, that chance to get inflicted by a status summon only affects the host. So if you are playing a game and you end up being hosted and you're not using a character that's immune to paralysis and also weakening, which there aren't that many characters out there that are immune to both of those status summons, there's a good chance you're going to die. There's a very good chance that you're going to get inflicted by that paralysis or weakening, and then you're basically right in the open to get one shot by the opponent. And there have been games where I lost and also won because of Ichigo's paralysis and weakening every 5 seconds. He also is a great character, again, great strong attack kit too. For normal PV content, I definitely value Aizen over him, mainly because Aizen has a lot more consistent damage for the most part, but mostly because he has Drain. That's what I really do like. If Ichigo gets hit, he can potentially lose a lot of DPS. But Ichigo makes up for that with his usability in Guild Quest too. He's a character that you can basically use in any single week of Guild Quest if you really want to. In fact, I was actually using him in last Guild Quest, only special move level 2 out of 5 by the way, because he has the weakened defense, he has the bombardment with the weakening, and he allowed me to clear the Espada week of Guild Quest in less than 10 seconds because he's still doing a crazy amount of damage when he doesn't even have killer. And when he does have killer, and again, you welcome the character potentially getting 5-5, you can get sub 1 second runs. In fact, someone got a 0 second run using this 7th Anniversary Ichigo. So that's the overall reason why I, in the end, made Aizen 4th place and Ichigo 3rd, because Ichigo is technically more toxic in Arena, is better in Guild Quest, and at the same time, also, to a certain extent, offers more too. He has 2 killers. Aizen, while it's true he does have 2 killers, it's Soripa and Captain Killer, where Ichigo has Soripa and Aranka. So therefore, in Inheritance Trials, he's more more likely to be used since he has double the killer. He has a better chance to be used, and he also has the complete stats immunity, which he shares to your entire team. So it was very close between 7th anniversary Ichigo and also 6th anniversary Aizen. Originally, when I wrote down the list, I did have Aizen third, but when I actually recorded the list, I then changed it last minute because I thought Ichigo just offers more in the overarching game. And then of course, second and first, again, still a somewhat debate. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, if we're talking about PvE content only and we're not talking about, you know, guild quests more specifically, I would say Uryu is actually a better character, mainly because he just offers so much more, right? Uryu has great mobility, great survivability, one of the few things that you'll see people point out with Yamamoto, and to a certain extent the same can be said with this Ichigo, is that he doesn't have great survivability. And it's not really correct to say that because he does have, you know, the extra mobility, he does have the complete stats immunity, and he shares it to your team. In Yamamoto's case, he also has a 50% chance to dodge hollow enemies. But just compared to how powerful Drain is, Drain's a very powerful stat summon that allows you to heal and allows you to stay at full stamina, which is basically what every character here wants to do. Keep that in mind. A lot of times you are using links and also bonus abilities where you want to stay at full stamina. So characters that have Drain built in, it's a nice quality of life and it allows them to be a better, more smooth at PvE character, because if you do make that mistake, you can still just heal back up the full stamina, potentially with just one strong attack. So for PvE content, I do think Uryu is better than Yama because he's faster. He has basically, Uryu is inflicting stats every time he hits an enemy. It's kind of crazy. He's healing your team, he's buffing your team, he's overall offering more for your team, and he also has the debuff effect. But the reason why Yamamoto's first is because better kit. But he has a better kit. He has like literally the best strong attack kit in the entire game. 3000 then beam, 960 distant, SA2 into the tracking vortex, and then a full screen strong attack 3. And then Yama's damage output is just simply unmatched. He is able to do a lot of great things. Also has again good survivability with the dodge, the status immunity, which you can share to your entire team. Has the extra flash step. Yama's great, and he's completely breaking guild quests right now. I'm literally, if you watch my son video today, we got him 5-5. I'm literally using him in weeks where I'm not supposed to use him, and I'm getting a higher score than if I used a 14 with killer. Yama is absolutely broken. He nukes harder than a max transcended 7th anniversary Ichigo, Bruno, and also Upper Ichigo with Noel too. All those 4 characters are some of the best nukes in the entire game, especially when at max transcendence, but Yama out DPSs them on his soul bomb, only special move level 2 out of 5. He is absolutely cracked and he broke guild quests. A lot of the teams now in the higher leagues are using Yamas and they're just destroying the game mode itself. So because of Yama, I definitely think we're going to see a new type of guild quest added because he's just broken. It's literally just not fair. But regardless of that, all of these characters are great. I mean, just because I didn't put a character in top 10 doesn't mean they're bad. Just because I value a certain game mode, a certain aspect higher in a certain character, you know, it just depends on how you look at it. It just really depends on how you look at it. You might not care about Brave Battles or Guild Quests or even Arena, so your top 10 is going to look a lot different. But me, we're trying to factor in every single aspect of the game. This is how I see it as your 10 best characters. So with that said, lads, that was the video for today. Hope you lads did enjoy it. If you still disagree with any of my placements, that's perfectly fine, but hopefully you understand why I ranked the characters where I did. With that said though, hope you lads enjoyed the video. I'll see you lads next time. Peace.